What is up, everybody? It's a new season of The Extra Point. I'm Jordan York. I am the new host of The Extra Point. Griffin Barfield is now going to be on the panel, and you'll see him in just a moment. But what an honor it is to be the host of this show. It's one of my favorites. I think it's one of Tigervision's best. Super excited to be back, and we've got 4 panelists to talk about a wild week of college football from left to right. It's Jack Wilbur, Brian Warner, Griffin Barfield, and Caden Hughes. So excited to have you guys here today, and we're just going to jump right in. Our first topic obviously hits very close to home. We're all Clemson students. We all watched the painful loss to Syracuse on Saturday. So with the Tigers being 1-3, the question's very simple. Buy or sell, Clemson will not make a bowl game this season.
All right, I'm going to buy. We are not making a bowl game this season, okay? Because I'm very fed up with this team. We haven't been 1-3 since 2004. Dabo's never coached a team this bad at this start. I went home this past day, I don't know, and I have a little 12-year-old sister. We were watching some like Nickelodeon, Disney Channel TV shows and stuff. There's a lot of shows with a trope where they'll say it can't get any worse than this, and then it just keeps getting worse. And eventually someone's like, stop saying that, it keeps getting worse. And that's how I feel about this season. In August, I heard we're going to beat LSU. It's a home game. They're a great team, but we're a great team. We lost. And then it was, okay, well, at least we'll have a comfortable win against Troy. I wasn't very comfortable. Then it was like, we're going to go to Atlanta. That's our get-back game. It wasn't. And then, but Syracuse's offense is great. Their defense is terrible. It's at home. We're going to take care of business there. We didn't. Now I'm hearing, but we'll beat UNC. Stop saying that. It can get worse than this. I think it's going to get worse. If I just were to map it out just real fast, UNC, Duke, Boston College, I don't think we're guaranteed to go 3-0. Gun to my head, I say we win 2 of those games. I think we split Louisville and SMU. I think Florida State kills us, and we go to Columbia 5-6, and the Gamecocks take us from bowl eligibility. And it's gonna be miserable and stuff. So yeah, we have some big problems, and don't ask me why I came up with this number, but I pay $60 million to fix this mistake that we have at Clemson right now.
I mean, yes, it has been pretty atrocious, but I'm going to sell here. I think it's a long season. Clemson are going into a bye week this week. They also have one in the middle of November. I think as long as a change is made, and I think Dabo Swinney knows that, I think this team is going to be fine. Going back to those wins, I know you have UNC. I do consider that as a win. I don't think North Carolina is very good. I look at Furman at the end of the year. I think Furman is going to end up being a win. Right there, you're 3-3. All you got to do is pick out 3 more wins against ACC opponents. I think Boston College is very doable. I think you could do it against Florida State. I think you could do it against South Carolina just based off the personnel of this team. Do I think it happens? I don't. But all you got to do is look for 5 wins, and I think that you have 2 guarantees there. You have Boston College, Duke, SMU. You have all those games to choose from, and I think especially with the games being at home, I think Clemson will eventually turn the corner. I don't see them running the table and going 9-3, but I totally see a 7-5 or 6-6 at least to make a bowl game.
I'm going to have to say, I don't think I'm as negative on this team. Yes, it's frustrating. Yes, it's disappointing. And yes, I will buy it because I will not think that they're going to make it to a bowl game. But I don't think it's all hope is lost. I think the main issue with me right now is that there's no leader on this team. Cade Klubnik was supposed to be the leader. He's the senior coming in that was supposed to lead. He was supposed to be a first-round talent. He just hasn't done it, whether it's in his head, whether it's the offense allowing too much pressure. We don't quite know what the exact issue is from the outside. We can just make assumptions. But for that reason, there's no leader on the offense. And on the defense, last year we had Barrett Carter. Year before that, Jeremiah Trotter. Year before that, or 2 years before that, Trenton Simpson. We always had that leader in the middle linebacker core, and we haven't had that this year. It's just because they're too young, or just the people aren't stepping up. The mentality's not there. There are no dogs on the defense. So with that reason, I find it hard that we'll be able to get our mojo completely back. We're going to beat, in my opinion, I think we're going to beat UNC. I think we're going to beat Boston College. But then we got to face, at some point, I don't remember exactly how the schedule goes, SMU's in there, FSU's in there, South Carolina's the end of the year. All 3 of those are heavy run teams, and our running defense has been really, really putrid the last few weeks. We have been beaten up. Syracuse, before this game against us, was averaging 3.3 yards per carry. After this game, they're averaging 6.5 just against us. And we're supposed to have one of the best D-lines in the nation. Now, this is not to say they can't get better. It's just stating that there is some miscommunication and some lack of leadership that for that reason, I think we'll finish 4-8, and then we'll probably build back better and actually be able to compete next year.
I guess we're just going back and forth here because I am going to cautiously sell. I think we will make a bowl game. That frame of Dabo at the end of the game last game with him and Avion next to each other, and it looked like he was full on about to cry. That image, yeah, I think he did cry. That image to me screams, my way is no longer. Dabo can't keep doing this anymore, and I think this Syracuse game was the nail in the coffin. So I think we come out of this bye week, I think, one, every coach's job is now on the line. So I'm talking position coaches, I'm talking assistants, even if I love them, like Taj Boyd, all those guys. Their jobs are on the line. Then I think Dabo will finally start to look at some of these players. Like, don't get me wrong, I love TJ Parker, I love Cade Klubnik. Yes, they could be NFL prospects, but Dabo's job is to win now, to win at Clemson. I think that TJ Parker's snap count gets pulled back. Maybe Cade comes out, even against UNC. He doesn't look great. Maybe we're winning, Vizina gets put in. I think everybody is on as short of a leash as they possibly could be. I think Dabo will rather die than watch this team not make a bowl game. So I will cautiously sell. Don't get me wrong, I'm still very harsh on this program, but cautiously sell.
I think that those are all very interesting points. I like that it's 2-2. It allows me to break the tie. I'm going to sell because while nothing so far has really led me to believe in this team, it's random. Like, no one believed when we had 4 losses and then we went and played Notre Dame. No one thought we were going to win that game. And then we beat Notre Dame. And then we rattled off wins the rest of the season. Right now, we're back at a point no one believes in this team. And so it just makes sense after this bye week. You put together maybe an ugly win against North Carolina, but hey, a win's a win. And then somehow later down the road, you get a SMU or a Florida State night game that we have no business winning, and I feel like we're going to find a way. It's weird. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but I think we're going to do it, and I think Clemson will make a bowl game, but fans will still be very disappointed in this season given the preseason media hype. But kind of sticking around Clemson, but not really, our former defensive coordinator, Brent Venables, who's now the head coach at Oklahoma, has been for the last few years, going into this season was on a hot seat. However, the Sooners, they're 4-0. They just came off a controversial win against Auburn, and they are 4-0. They're number 7 in the country, but they have a really tough slate in the SEC coming up, where they could potentially finish this season, and they may not make a bowl game themselves. But based on the start that John Mateer and the Sooners has had, my question for you guys is Brent Venables officially safe at OU, or does he still have to earn it?
So I'm going to skeptically sell. I'm a lot less confident than I was on the last one. I mean, like you said, they have Texas, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama, and Mizzou left on their schedule. I think that's 5 teams that are better than the Michigan team they already beat, and then a really good Mizzou team. I don't think they're going to have a great record. I think if you frame this question as Brent Venables is probably fine this season, I would buy that. But I think that, Ed Orgeron had, the greatest college football team I've ever seen. And then the next year was, his seat got warm. He was on the hot seat and stuff. So I just think that happened so fast, that flipped so quickly. I think that if we're talking about, 2 to 3 years, I'm absolutely selling it. But if we're talking about this year, it looks like Venables will be fine this season. But I'm not super confident on that.
I'm going to agree. I think regardless if you're 4-0, if you're not able to get through the SEC gauntlet, I don't think that you'll be able to be sufficient in the league. And yes, Oklahoma's good. They have 2 ranked wins at the time. They beat Michigan, and they did beat Auburn. I've never been high on Auburn. I always think that that second-tier team in the SEC. And similar to Michigan, it was Bryce Underwood's first game in an away environment. Yes, I think, like you said, you got to give credit where it's due. John Mateer is playing really well. He is the Heisman frontrunner, I believe. Him or Carson Beck, I forget who it is. But you got to look at the schedule. If you can't beat Texas, and Texas, a lot of people are considering to be very fraudulent. If you can't win the Red River rivalry, you're always going to be on that bottom tier of that rivalry. Like you said, you have Tennessee, you have Ole Miss, you have LSU at the end of the season, not to mention. If you go into the season with high hopes, you go into it 4-0, I think they're going to be 5-0. They play Kent State, I think, next week. But if you're not able to rattle off some of those bigger wins, they already have some of them, but they need those bigger wins that those big SEC teams generally win. I'm looking at the Alabamas. I'm looking at the LSUs. I'm looking at the Tennessees. If you're able to win 1 or 2 of those, let alone make an SEC championship game, his seat will be fine. But just because of that schedule, I'm going to say sell for now.
I'm just going to jump right on the sell train with them. I have sell. I don't know if you can see through this light, but I have sell right there. Personally, I didn't see it get cold. I think that seat is still warm, as I do with my heat seaters in my car, because it gets freezing cold in the winter. But with that being said, which I don't know why I said that, but either way, I am selling this. Venables has been 6-7 the last 2 of the last 3 years, and I just don't see either of these games as statement wins. Usually when you have to cool off a seat, it's a statement win. It's a shocker. It's an underdog. I don't see that between Michigan and Auburn as their 2 ranked wins. Michigan starting a true freshman quarterback who's looked good, but they're not the powerhouse they were 2 years ago with J.J. McCarthy and the absolute freaking loaded roster they had that won the national championship. I also don't see Auburn as that. Yes, Auburn has one of the best run defenses in the entire league, but I just don't see them as a top dog necessarily that would prove why Venables should stay. Now, is this to say Venables should be fired? No, he's doing a pretty good job. Like you said, Mateer is the top Heisman runner, or at least one of them. He's running in the competition for it. So I don't see this as him possibly losing his job, but I don't see it as a securing few weeks, or a few weeks that led to a secure in his position.
I guess I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I'm going to buy, but this is a very optimistic Clemson fanboy buy because I love Venables. Here's my one reason I am buying this team. I went from watching the disaster class that was Clemson defense on Saturday. I am in the worst mood possible. I turn on the Oklahoma game and I watch this defense fly around. They get to the ball. There's movement pre-snap. There's movement post-snap. Don't get me wrong, I still have faith in Tom Allen, but I watch Clemson's defense and it's stale. When I turn on this Oklahoma game, there are guys all over the place. They had 10 sacks in one game. I don't even know the last time I saw a double-digit sack game. So I think Venables did what Dabo needs to do this season. He cleaned house. He fired his defensive coordinator. He said, I'm calling the plays now. He fired his offensive coordinator. He got one of the top ones, plus their quarterback. I think, just to tie it back in with Clemson, but I think that's what Clemson needs to do. I think what Venables is doing right now is very impressive. Now, granted, they do play the SEC gauntlet coming up, but I'm going to optimistically buy.
Going back to that 10 sacks, I think it's a program record. I mean, but then again, it just sets the tone. If you're able to do that consistently throughout the SEC, safe to say I think you'll be all right.
And I think if they're able to do that in this next gauntlet of, 4 games that they're playing against SEC, 2 of which are away, which is Texas, and I can't remember
They play South Carolina away.
South Carolina away. And it's like if you can get even 5 sacks in a game against any of those top dogs and come out with at least a close victory, especially over Texas, your Red River rivalry, I think you're going to put yourself in a really good position. And I think that really cools off. That would cool off Venables' seat, in my opinion.
Agreed.
I just think
pronunciation for Red River.
I was shocked I rattled that off so quick.
I did not do that. I was like, dang.
I was like in a zone. I was like, I'm just going to do
alliterations. I always like hold my breath. I'm like, oh boy, I might have a throat.
Just don't think about it. Just say it. That's all I'm thinking.
Sorry, your point. What were you saying?
No, I was just going to say, again, I think it's all because Venables is calling the defense again. It's what he's known to do. It's the thing he's best at. And they've done all this. You know they haven't forced a turnover this year? They have one of the best defenses in the country, yet they have not forced a turnover. That's all I got to say. Back to you, Jordan.
Oklahoma is a really good team. Their defense showed me a lot on Saturday. I'm going to say sell, though. I just feel like this gauntlet is so much when you're looking at LSU, Tennessee, Alabama. First off, on the road, you got Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama. You got Texas neutral site. You have Mizzou, LSU, and Ole Miss at home. That is a horrible end schedule for Oklahoma. I can't see it. I can't see them pulling any more than about 3 games out of that, and 7-5 isn't going to keep Sooner fans happy, especially given what they were used to in the Big 12. But moving on, we've got a new segment, and I may have stolen this idea a little bit from College Game Day, but we're going to talk about spreads now, spreading the wealth. So I'm going to give you guys each a game, and I'm going to give you the matchup and then who's favored based on the spread, and you're going to tell me whether they cover, meaning they win by more than the number, or they win by less than the number or lose, and thus they don't cover the spread. So first up, we're going to go with Auburn, who just lost to Oklahoma, going to Kyle Field, taking on Texas A&M. A&M favored by 6.5 in that one, coming off a bye week after beating Notre Dame. Caden, I'll start with you. Who you got?
So I wouldn't place this bet, but I got A&M minus 6.5. I'm a Marcel Reed believer, and I mean a lot of times I like looking at home field advantage, especially in the SEC. I mean in any Power 4 conference and stuff. They're at home. I don't have a ton to say about it, but I would take A&M minus 6.5.
I'm gonna go off of there. I love A&M minus 6.5. This is one I would bet. I do love Marcel Reed. I'm a Marcel Reed believer, especially with him going into another year as a starter. I love Le'Veon Moss, the running back. He was my favorite when he went down. I believe it was against South Carolina. I was so upset because he just opens up that rushing attack. And then the receivers, Mario Craver, he leads the team in receptions. He's awesome to watch. And then they have Casey Conception, the NC State transfer as well, who I've been able to watch over the last 2 years with the Wolfpack, and he's just been great as well. I think that this is the year they were able to beat Notre Dame in Notre Dame, which not many teams are able to do. And I really like a Mike Elko defense to go far. I think Texas A&M wins big.
I do know that Notre Dame win was big, but I do think it's also not exactly the same Notre Dame as last year. So I'm going to say they don't cover this. And the main reason for me is their run defense. Their run defense is probably the biggest hole on their defense between whether it's passing and running. And they're averaging 4 yards or allowing 4 yards per carry in each of their last few games. And for Auburn, their whole offense is predicated on the run. They're averaging nearly 5 yards per carry. And I think in this game, although Auburn's pass defense hasn't been great, it has not been great at all. I believe they've allowed up like 931 yards in like the last 3 games or 4 games or something like that. And Texas A&M has been really good through the air, but I think run defense will be able to control this game a lot more. The tempo, the clock management, and the red zone efficiency will all be able to be controlled a lot better with Auburn's run game than Texas A&M's pass game. So for me, I think Auburn's going to make this close, and I think they will actually put it. It's closer than 6.5, right? That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. I think it's going to be closer than 6.5.
Lose by a touchdown or go out, right?
Correct. Yeah, it's going to be less than. It's going to be like a field goal. It's going to be a really close game. I'm trying to remember bets. I don't bet people.
I'm going to be with Caden, though, on this one. I am taking A&M minus 6.5. This is a game I would stay away from. I do believe in A&M a lot. I love Mike Elko. And they had that nice win against Notre Dame on the road. But Auburn, coming off a brutal loss to Oklahoma with some controversial calls, I don't think Auburn's going to quit on this team. Like, I don't think the players are just going to give up that easily. I think they're going to come out fired up. So I did pick A&M 6.5, but this is a game I would stay away from as I'm not very confident either way.
Brian, you're kind of on an island here, man. I'm taking A&M minus 6.5. I just think the win against Notre Dame, it wasn't pretty. Defense has a lot of issues to fix, but Auburn I don't think has nearly the caliber offense that Notre Dame had. I think A&M wins big, and I think the thing with A&M is they can't win the big one. Well, they did that when they beat Notre Dame. It pains me to say, but A&M, this is probably the best shot they have to go to an SEC title, to go to the playoff. This looks to be a really promising year for the Aggies. But moving over to the Big Ten, USC. Doesn't make sense still to say that USC is in the Big Ten, but they go on the road for their first test of the season. They play Illinois, and they are currently favored by a touchdown over the Illini, who lost by 53 to Indiana last week in a rather embarrassing display. But guys, USC by a touchdown, or are you taking the Illini?
I'm taking USC. You said it was 6.5. I think I saw it 5.5 somewhere, but that doesn't matter here. Yeah, you said 63-10 against Indiana. I mean, I don't have much else to say besides that. I mean, I don't know what the USC Indiana line would be, but it wouldn't be a ridiculous line. I mean, I think that like USC hasn't proven anything, but I think Illinois has proven a pretty clear ceiling for their current state of their team right now. So yeah, I would bet a lot of money on this one, unlike the last one, and I'm smart. I would take this at 8.5 at the highest. Yeah.
I'm going to take the other side. I'm going to take Illinois plus 7. I think against a loss like that, kind of similar to what Jack was saying earlier about the Auburn game, I don't think they put their head between their tails and just go down the line again. I think that Illinois will end up winning. Luke Altmaier, he is in his last year there. I think Indiana's just good. I've just been a really big Kirk Cignetti fan. I think that Illinois is going to be able to figure out those kinks, and I just never trust Lincoln Riley with his defense. I do think that it's going to be a bunch of points. I wouldn't be surprised if USC pulls this one out, but I think Illinois keeps it within a touchdown.
I realize now that I'm doing this, like you guys are all doing plus 7s. I don't know betting, so I just say cover.
That's fine.
I'm like spamming the cover button right now. I am a huge believer in this USC team, and the main reason is their offense. I looked up some numbers because I was very curious. So the offense led by a junior quarterback named, if I'm correct, Jaden Maiava. They're averaging 7 yards per carry rushing. They're 73% completion percentage, 1,223 passing yards, 9 passing touchdowns to 1 interception, I believe is what it was. 7 rushing touchdowns, averaging 453 total yards per game, 52.5 points per game, and have a 57.5% third down conversion rate. It is an absolutely, in my opinion, it's not historic, but it's a firepower of an offense that I think will be able to showcase and be able to attack this Illinois defense. Probably very similar to Indiana. Now, are they going to put up 63 points? I don't think so. But I think they will be able to cover the spread. And the other point that I want to put out here, that USC defense, while Lincoln Riley has had some trust issues with the defense in recent years, I do like this defense better than any other one he's had. They're looking into they had 10 sacks in 3 games, which puts them right around top 10. It's somewhere in the top 10. I don't know exactly where. It's somewhere in the top 10 nationally for sacks so far this season in 3 games. They've only allowed 18 points per game. And the big question mark for me, or the big red flag in that Illinois offense, is the offensive line. They rank 97th in the nation in sacks given. 16 sacks, 7 coming from Indiana. So for me, I'm very excited to watch this game, and I am absolutely spamming the spread, covering it. Whatever you do when you bet, I'm taking USC by more than a touchdown. That's all I can say.
And to split, I guess, the vote again, I'm going to go Illinois plus 6.5. I have a couple things to say about this game, shockingly, even though I feel like this is a weird game to talk about. First off,
Could have thrown an NFL game in there, but
hey, I love college football. I'm a college football guy, so this is all me. First off, USC's defense, I still don't trust. Lincoln Riley can't seem to get the defense right. They gave up, I think it was 31 to Purdue and then 30 to Michigan State, both teams I'm not very impressed with. Then also, this is at Illinois. So I'm not saying Illinois has a crazy home advantage. My biggest thing is this will be a 9 o'clock kickoff for USC, just, with their body clock. So I think they might be a little bit sleepy to get going. I think also Illinois, they've played Duke, they've played Indiana, they've played some better teams. Again, they got massacred by Indiana, but I'm trusting Brett Bielema. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I've always liked him. Can't pronounce his last name, but I really like him. I think he'll get his team ready for this game. I still have faith in USC as well, but I think this is a game they drop.
I am going to take Illinois and I'm not even going to take Illinois to cover. I'm going to take Illinois to win outright because Luke Altmaier is arguably one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the nation. He has 855 yards, 9 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's a pretty elite stat line through 4 games this season. Yes, he looked terrible against Indiana, and yes, Indiana ran up the score like crazy against Illinois. That's a defense problem. That's not a Luke Altmaier problem. USC usually has bad defense. I'm going to take the Illini in that one. And Caden, you get your wish. We're going to talk NFL just briefly. This is the lone NFL game we've got, but it's a biggie. Baltimore and Kansas City on Sunday. Baltimore currently a 2.5-point favorite. Obviously, at the time of this recording, they have not played against Detroit yet on Monday Night Football, so we'll see how that could possibly affect things. But right now, the Ravens minus 2.5 on the road in Arrowhead against Mahomes. Who's your pick?
I feel like historically this show last year kind of hated the Chiefs a lot, and so I wanted to be in on the Chiefs, because I just think that there's a lot of like I'm sick of Mahomes winning and Taylor Swift's annoying, so I hate the Chiefs mentality here. I think the Chiefs are totally fine. I think they dropped 2 games, and I think that when we look back, this is the worst vibes of Mahomes' the first 10 years of Mahomes' career. I think it'll be this day right here and stuff. This 2-week stretch or whatever it might end up being. So I think Baltimore's going to win this game. They're going to cover because they're an incredible team. They're Super Bowl contenders. If this is the playoffs, though, I think I take the Chiefs money line. But it's September, so I'm going to take the Ravens to cover right now.
Yeah, another thing with the Chiefs, they're down their 2 receivers. I don't know if Xavier Worthy's going to be playing next week. You don't have Rashee Rice. And Travis Kelce, unfortunately, is just getting old. I don't think that he's as the same. I'm a Giants fan, so I was able to watch Kansas City beat the Giants yet last night. And their top receiver was Tyquan Thornton. I don't think that they're going to be able to run the ball effectively against Baltimore. I think that the Baltimore secondary is going to be able to contain those top receivers. And I just really trust Lamar Jackson. Even if it is an Arrowhead, I'm a big Derrick Henry fan. I think that this Ravens offense is only going to get better as the year goes on, as always. I think the Ravens are going to cover here. But if all the Chiefs' weapons were back, I was a Chiefs supporter last year, but I just think they're too depleted.
I'm going to go ahead and cover this as a Ravens fan just because I will. But I actually am going to put on something that Caden said, which is this is not the playoffs. And for that reason, I do trust Baltimore. If this was a playoff game in January, I'm probably going Kansas City just because you can't trust. The records have shown that Lamar has not really been able to live up to his height in the regular season the same way he's been able to, or at least in the playoffs, the same way he's been able to live up in the regular season. So for that reason, for me, for that reason, I am going to say cover. Baltimore their offense has been unbelievable in the last 2 weeks, averaging 40.5 points. I'm very impressed with them. I don't know if they'll put up 40 points because Steve Spagnuolo always seems to cook up something crazy, but I can still see them coming close to 30, which is still crazy for an NFL game. Kansas City, on the other hand, like you said, they're down their top 2 wide receivers. We don't know if they'll be back by next week, or at least this weekend. So for that reason, I do think Baltimore will be more, and I think they'll probably score, I'm going to say, because I don't know exactly how spreads work, I'm going to say probably like a plus 10. I think it'll be like a 10-point game, roughly.
Making me a little nervous here because I'm also going Ravens minus 2.5. I think this is the first thing all 4 of us have agreed on at least.
Yes.
Let's hope Jordan went with the Chiefs, so we're not just totally jinxed. But I don't trust this Kansas City team right now. I don't like a lot about them. They have Mahomes, obviously. I really like this Ravens team. I think their defense is really good. I think, like you said, their offense is just going to keep getting better and better throughout the season. And then honestly, just to keep piggybacking off of what you guys said, it's not January. It's not the playoffs. Even if this was in Baltimore in January, I would still go with the Chiefs. Even if the Chiefs are 9-8 and they make the playoffs, I'm going with the Chiefs. But it's the regular season, and at the end of the day, we've seen Baltimore dominate the regular season.
I think this is going to flip. All of a sudden, we're all going to pick Ravens, and then the Chiefs are going to win, and there's going to come playoffs, and we're all going to pick the Chiefs, and the Ravens are going to win.
Yeah.
That's my hope.
I
wouldn't be upset with that.
I wouldn't be mad with that either.
That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, no devil's advocate here. I'm going Baltimore. This one,
no.
It's not even going to be close. I needed to see a lot out of Kansas City last night when they played the Giants. Kansas City was far from impressive. They just beat a really bad team. Their defense was solid, made Russell Wilson look bad, but Baltimore's just too elite. I think Lamar and Derrick Henry are going to have a field day on Sunday. So now we go to the fun part, game picks. And it's all 3 college games to wrap up, and it's 3 big ones for a wild Week 5 of college football. But the first one, 3:30 on ABC, LSU, Ole Miss, Garrett Nussmeier in that Heisman conversation. Ole Miss, it really doesn't matter who starts at quarterback. They play very well, whether it's Austin Simmons or Trinidad Chambliss. So Rebels, Tigers, who you got?
I have LSU, but I think it's close. I think we're going to learn a lot about both programs with this game. You said earlier that Auburn is like a second-tier SEC program. I don't know how I break the tiers down, but I think Ole Miss is in close to overall, historically, a bottom tier in the stacked SEC, where it's like when the graduating class, it's a lot of seniors. When they have a quarterback in his junior, senior year that's an elite quarterback, they can be a good program. But if not, they just kind of fade into obscurity. I wasn't super high on Ole Miss this season with them losing Jackson Dart. But they've looked pretty good so far this season. And on the LSU side, LSU hasn't shown the elite explosive offense we've seen in the past so far. They put up 17 points against an abysmal football program. They put up 20 points off 5 turnovers against Florida. They had a really good game against, I believe it was a G5 school. But they had
Was it Louisiana Tech?
It was Louisiana Tech. They put up a lot of points against Louisiana Tech. But I just think if I just look at it, and if you say, and neither of these things can happen, but you say either on Sunday we're looking at it and we're like LSU, this is the game where they get right, and they, the quarterback pipeline, the wide receiver pipeline continues with Nussmeier, with Anderson, with Brown, or Ole Miss is still a credible SEC juggernaut program that can make a decent run. I think I lean towards that being the case for LSU more so than Ole Miss. So I believe more in LSU, but I think we'll learn a lot after this week about both programs.
I think this is LSU's year. If it's any year, it's going to have to be this year, and it starts against Ole Miss. They've already played in a hostile environment in Clemson. I mean, at the point of time, Clemson was figured to almost have won that game. But if you look at LSU's schedule going ahead, they have to play South Carolina, they have to play Vanderbilt, they have to play Texas A&M, they have to play Alabama. That is their next sequence of their schedule. I think they have to win that, and I love their defense. I think their defensive coordinator, Blake Baker, is one of the best in the country to do it with his defensive schemes, the way that he's been able to use this team. Yes, I am a fan of Trinidad Chambliss and Austin Simmons, but I really think that LSU, if this is their year, they're going to have to win this weekend to keep Brian Kelly's job off the hot seat. I think they do the job.
I feel like this is a must-win for both teams. I think this is one that it can really change the spectrum of your season and how you go, the trajectory of it all. But for some reason today, I just woke up feeling like a rebel because I'm going Ole Miss. I'm looking for Ole Miss all the way. I know, right? I'm going Ole Miss all the way. I absolutely love them. They're another high-powered offense. I am a big fan of offenses, and this is taking my Clemson bias out of it. I just didn't see the high-power offense from LSU. Their defense was suffocating, absolutely phenomenal. But showing these last few games at Clemson, I don't know how much I can take of that LSU defense for granted. How much? It's kind of like with the how do they say it? I don't remember what the word is, but it's like taking it with a pill or with a grain of salt. Thank you. I was forgetting what I was saying. But I do take it with a pill, right? We were needing that after the Clemson game. So yeah, I do say I'm going with Ole Miss on this one. It's going to be home. I think they're going to have the home field advantage with it. And I think one of the big issues with LSU has been their red zone defense. Like you said, 5 turnovers, only 20 points off of a Florida team that's not great, but not bad. I do see Ole Miss coming into it. I love their quarterback, Chambliss, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. Looking great. He's coming off back-to-back 400-yard games. I'm going Ole Miss all the way. I'm going Rebels.
Brian, I'm going to agree with you. I also like the Rebels here. LSU, to me, is a team that I was very high coming into the season on. And after these first couple weeks, I've actually fallen off. They beat a terrible football team week 1. I think the only reason that game was close was the crowd, as I was there and my ears almost bled. I think that's what kept Clemson in the game. But to speak on their other games, they played, Louisiana Tech, not a dominant win. They honestly struggled a little bit there. They were never in, fear of losing, but not a dominant win. Florida not very good. 5 turnovers that you win by 10 points. That's a little bit of a red flag to me. Then they beat up on some FCS team this week. I like Ole Miss if they play Trinidad Chambliss. I really like him. Austin Simmons has a little bit of a turnover issue. So I'm rocking with Ole Miss on the thought that they're going Trinidad. If they don't go Trinidad and they go Simmons, I'll stick with my gut and say Ole Miss because they're also the home team, and I love home field advantage in college football. So, yeah, go Rebels.
Ole Miss has a defense problem. They gave up 35 to Arkansas. They gave up 23 to Kentucky. They have to score a bunch of points in order to win games. LSU's defense isn't going to allow that. It's plain and simple. Defense wins championships. They are arguably the best defense in the country. This is a game Brian Kelly could absolutely lose, and it wouldn't surprise me.
100%.
But I just can't bet on it. I'm going to pick LSU. And this next game, got to be quick. We're sticking in the SEC. It is a rematch of what was an absolutely epic game, the breakout game for Ryan Williams last year, Alabama and Georgia. This time, it's in Athens. Who you got?
Georgia, I was arguing with Drew over the phone last night about if $700 was a ridiculous price for this game. It's absolutely not. He said you could go to Italy with that. I'd rather go to this game than go to Italy. But I'm picking Georgia. I think that I said you'll learn a lot about these programs with LSU and Ole Miss. I think we're going to, this is a big game for Alabama. They have to get right by this game. I've talked about Michael Penix is a terrible NFL quarterback, maybe, but he got Jalen Polk's second-round pick, got McMillan drafted on day 2, and got his coaching job at Alabama. I don't think any of those players are qualified for where they were. I think that Alabama's got a coaching issue, and I think that this isn't the beginning of the end for Alabama, but this game will be the moment we realize that it truly is over for Alabama. And so I have Georgia.
I disagree with that for an extent. I think that Kalen DeBoer will be okay. I still think Georgia wins. I think home field advantage, and they're more battle-tested. They have that Tennessee win. The only thing that's holding me back from taking Alabama is, of course, the big Kalen DeBoer record that he's undefeated against Steve Sarkisian, and he's undefeated against Kirby Smart as well. I just think Georgia's the better team. They're more battle-tested. I'm just not a fan of Ty Simpson. There, I said it. I don't think that he's all that good, but, he's a stat patter. I think Gunnar Stockton and this Georgia defense are going to get it done. I'm a really big fan of Zachariah Branch, who is the Southern Cal transfer now on the Georgia wide receiver room. So I think Georgia wins.
I've been going back and forth. I've been tossed with this one because I'm not really a big fan of either quarterback. Now, granted, I'm just used to the Carson Beck and Jalen Milroe type battles. And even then, I like the Stetson Bennett and the Tua Tagovailoa battles better, right? You're going back there. But for some reason, I do feel like Alabama's going to come in and win this. I think they need a statement game after getting their beat the heck out of by Florida State. FSU just absolutely downed them. I think they're trying to find that get-back game. They played some UL Monroe and whoever, I can't remember who the other game was, but it was really,
Wisconsin?
Was it Wisconsin?
I thought Wisconsin.
Yeah, and Wisconsin lost to Maryland, which I was shocked about. So I was like, cool. I was like, sick. But I do think that Alabama will come in with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. I think Georgia escaped Tennessee last week, with it was like a missed field goal from 36 yards out to at least win the game. I think it was win the game in regulation, and then they ended up just marching down in overtime. So for me, I do see Alabama coming in and winning this. Again, I don't trust either quarterback that much, but I think just the chip on the shoulder for Alabama is going to be a little bit more, and I think they'll be able to just kind of overcome that home field advantage that Georgia's had, which seems to be kind of slipping away a little bit, at least if I go back to that Georgia Tech game, which I'm hoping is going to stay the same. So
I don't trust this Alabama team. I don't trust anything they're doing right now. But I'm picking Alabama because just to go to the NFL real quick, it's like we were saying with Mahomes in the playoffs and the Chiefs. You pick them even if their team isn't the best, but it's the playoffs. Georgia and Kirby Smart have had an Alabama problem where they can't seem to beat Alabama, no matter if it's DeBoer or Saban. Yes, they did win in the national championship, but you look at all those other games, they have really struggled against Alabama. I think this Alabama team still misses the playoffs this year, but I'm still picking them for this game.
This is a biggie for Alabama. They go to Georgia, then next week they're home for Vanderbilt. Potentially unbeaten Vanderbilt, and we all know what happened last year when those teams met. So Alabama needs this game. They don't get it. Georgia wins. I saw everything I needed to see in the second half against Tennessee, when they came out trailing out of the locker room and they just pounded the ball down Tennessee's throat. That is Georgia's football at its finest. Pound the rock, make defensive stops, drain the clock, take the will away from the defense, and ultimately win the game. It wasn't pretty, but Georgia did it. I think Georgia-Tennessee is your SEC championship. It's just a rematch that we saw a couple weeks ago, and I just have no reason to doubt the Dogs, so I'm going Georgia. Finally, College game day. Oregon, Penn State, the whiteout. They could not make this game any bigger. Dante Moore, DeCorian Moore, Drew Aller, Nicholas Singleton, Beavers, Ducks, Beaver Stadium, 100,000 fans. What's going to happen? I have no idea.
Well, what's going to happen is Oregon's going to win. So it's very rare I watch college football and I look at the players and I'm like, I could have done that. But I saw one stat. If you spike the ball on every play, you have a higher quarterback rating than Drew Aller. So I think I can get that done. I think if I played 3 games, I'd just spike it and have a higher QBR. That's a misleading stat, but Aller has been disappointing. That is a real issue. I'm not super high on Aller, and I want him to figure out because I like when quarterbacks are good for the draft in the NFL and stuff. And so looking ahead, he's got some things to figure out. I think he's capable of that. I don't think this is the game where he gets it right, but we'll see. I'm not super confident, but I'll take Oregon here.
Oregon has to go across 3 different time zones across the country to play this game at night in a whiteout on college game day.
That's good points, too.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it, aren't I? I'm picking Penn State. Drew Aller, this is your game. James Franklin, this is your game. I don't. If Penn State do not win this game, where I think it's perfectly set up for them to win, they're against what is Oregon, top 5?
I think so.
They're against a top 5 opponent in Oregon.
6 versus
Yeah.
6 versus okay. You're a top 6 opponent in Oregon. You have a top quarterback that could be a Heisman, that could be a top quarterback in the draft. You have 2 of the best running backs in the country, and you have a great defense. Not to mention you have one of the best home field advantages in the country. You have to win this game. That's why I'm picking them. Do I think they win? I don't know. But you have to win it. So I'm putting it on the board.
Bet against James Franklin.
Unfortunately.
It's the same thing.
Unfortunately.
I was like, I love Oregon, and I hate Drew Aller.
Wow.
But I love Penn State in this game. I was like, I just love their run game. I am a sucker, like I said, for offense, specifically for run games that are dominant. They have 2 of the best running back. I think it's arguably could be one of the best running back duos we've ever seen in college. Because this guy, I'm thinking NFL. Allen, the running back paired with Singleton, Allen's averaging 8 yards per carry. That's ridiculous on 34 carries. Dude is absolutely dominant. And yet their second running back is just averaging a merely 4.4 yards per carry, which would be like top in the league, right? I think the run defense is going to be dominant. But a better guess or better point is that Drew Aller will raise his QBR because he'll be spiking it to win the game. I don't know, but I just feel like Drew Aller's going to be better. And I don't like Drew Aller at all. I just like the run defense. I love the home field advantage. All I can think about is Mo Bamba in Michigan every time I think of Penn State at home. So I do have Penn State winning. But yeah, I'm going to trust the run defense, and I'm going to trust the home field advantage.
I am also probably regrettably taking Penn State.
Gotta do it.
I am trusting, honestly, just the whiteout. It's so hard to pick against a whiteout that isn't against Ohio State. If they were playing Ohio State right now, I'd pick Ohio State. But they're playing Oregon. I really like this Oregon team too. I think this could be another Big Ten championship. I wouldn't be shocked if these are the 2 teams once again in it. I think that's something not enough people are talking about is this is a Big Ten championship rematch. I think it's because of how different this Oregon team looks. I'm very high on this Oregon team, but it's hard to pick against a whiteout. So, like you were saying, James Franklin, this is your time, man. If you lose this game, I will never pick Penn State to win any other game, even if you play, once again, Villanova. So,
The mystique of the whiteout is on the line in this game. Penn State's whiteout record is not as good as they would lead you to believe. If you can't beat Oregon when you are coming off of a semifinal appearance, when you have all this returning talent, when you have a potential Heisman contender, when you have maybe one of the best running back duos we've ever seen, to Brian's point, James Franklin should absolutely be fired if they lose this game. So I should pick Penn State, right? No. I'm picking Oregon. Go Ducks. That's going to do it for this show. Great to have you guys on. Thank you, Jack, Brian, Griffin, and Caden. Thank you to Grant in the studio, our production team. Fantastic work as always. And we'll see you next week right here on The Extra Point.